Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Market Forecast, brought to you by Options University. This is Butch Shorak. It's Monday, November 3rd, 2014. Access to this video is for educational and informational purposes only. Nothing contained in this video, website, or promotional material constitutes a promotion, recommendation, solicitation, or offer of any particular investment, security, or transaction. Options University provides educational services that are meant to teach you the risks and rewards of trading stocks and options. We're not a service that tells you what to trade. We're not implying or guaranteeing any profit. It is always, do not trade with money that you cannot afford to lose. Well, it was quite a week we had in the market as the economic announcements that came out were all favorable as we saw the markets go to all-time highs. Didn't take long to get back up there as we saw this big V take place in the SPX. Last week in our economic announcements, we had everything going on. We talked about the housing. We talked about what was happening with the Fed. We talked about information and news that we got out of Europe and China, and everything came in on the positive, and we saw the market take back. Look at this week's economic announcements. We see that on Monday, November 3rd, we have PMI manufacturing coming out at 945, ISM manufacturing index coming out at 10, and construction spending coming out also at 10 o'clock on Monday. Certainly a day to be reckoned with. Looking at Tuesday, November 4th, we got international trade before the market opens at 8:30. Factory orders coming out at 10 a.m. As we go into the month of November, we're looking at ADP on Wednesday, November 5th. The other thing that we're looking at Wednesday is PMI services index at 945. Nothing much happening after that. As we look at Thursday, we see chain store sales, which certainly can be of interest to see where the spending is taking place. Looking at jobless claims at 8:30, which we do every single Thursday morning. Looking at last week's reports. Productivity and costs coming out at 8:30, and nothing much else happening the rest of that day. And then Friday, we look at last month's employment situation, looking at the numbers that come out, and consumer credit comes out at 3 o'clock on Friday, November 7th. Quite a week of announcements coming up as the market sits at an all-time high. And we'll see, oh boy, can you talk about a V? Look at that SPX, straight down, well below the 200-day moving average. Remember we talked last week about the volume surge that we had as we had that long tail when things began to turn around. Talked about the most normal way for things to go back up, where we potentially have some kind of support mechanism built at this lower level around that 1825. And then have it then move up and have some jogs in it. No, that's not the way it went. Straight V all the way up to new highs. Market showed us what kind of resiliency as we enter the best 6 months of the market. Or can we expect new highs from this point on? We certainly can. Could get a little bit of resistance at this point after this move up of almost 3 weeks, but certainly expect much newer highs coming as we head towards the first of the year. Happened much quicker than I would have expected, but nonetheless, it certainly did. Looking at the week that just took place, we've only got positive numbers for the entire week. There's the last 5 days. Continuation until we got new highs. Sitting at a resistance line, we'll see whether we have a sideways consolidation here or potentially a little bit of a pullback as we have all-time highs in the SPX. Dow followed in very same form as Friday. We got new highs coming out of the Dow with the news coming out of Europe and China last week. Things just kept right on moving up. No bad news. Surprise on some of the productivity numbers. NASDAQ, wow, can you say explode? New time highs for this, not all-time highs, but certainly headed towards that 5,000 number that we saw back in the rampant days of the market. Look at that big V as the NASDAQ followed suit. Everything in positive numbers, everything year-to-date up in high numbers. Russell 2000, even the Russell 2000 headed towards its previous highs as we saw markets explode with good news, all is well in fairyland. And what does the VIX do? Still a little bit more volatility in the market than we had seen. Remember, we were sitting around 11 or 12 for months and with little jogs here and there, but now we're still at 14. So a little more uneasiness in the market as we see the VIX showing us numbers of 14. Certainly back down in that more humane range. Bonds showed us absolutely no great weakness as we're still sitting above the 50-day moving average. Looking at our moving averages, we see that 30 is above the 50. which is above the 200, which tells us we had a bullish market, and we see that we certainly got a spike as the market pulled down to those lows, but not showing any great weakness in the bond market as we look at TLT. Next, we'll take a look at gold and see what happened with gold. Can you say fall off the face of the earth with what? With big volume as the money moved back into the market. Wow, look at that volume as the gold showing us certainly a 3-month low. Looking at the SPY, what did we see? Well, you know, we're up there. We got new highs, but look at what happened as the day developed. We ended up with a bit of a doji there. It looks kind of like a topping signal. Certainly a little bit of resistance there as we saw from that resistance line that I had drawn in on the SPX. No great volume on Friday as we see that basically about average volume. So we'll see where the big boys are going to take it, but they certainly took the market down at the very beginning of this quarter and the end of last quarter, and we got this huge V, which is kind of an unusual formation for us to see. We would have expected more jogs as this moved up higher and higher. Financials, look at that, another explosion up to all new time highs. All we can talk about is higher, higher, higher. How high can it go? Remember the old rule, I've been saying it for months, do not fight the Fed. Actually, I've been saying it for years. Oil showing us lows, lows, lows. Gas under $3 a gallon, kind of a bit of a surprise. And for those of you that are going to stick around for and our gold members, we'll take a look at our stocks to watch and see how these, which many of them used to be forerunners and are not showing us new highs, we'll see how these fared during this week where the market popped. And with that, thank you very much for being here. This is Market Forecast, brought to you by Options University, Butch Shorak, Monday, November 3rd, 2014. Thank you for being here. Talk to you next.